Hey guys, DibtheAwesome here to give you another Monster Legends Guides, where we talk about monsters' moves, their stats, their kits, their rune sets, all that jazz. Today we are looking at Rador. I'm sorry this video was late. I just it needed to be redone, and I just was too busy. I had like theater stuff going on and all that jazz, and I was sick for quite a deal of time. Uh, and now I'm doing the update on this video. I'm redoing it. Uh, I had to redo it and stuff like that. I never posted it, but I just have to redo it. I think I even still have the old video in my logs, but yeah, here it is. So yeah, Rador. Rador is the highest base power of all monsters, I believe, in Monster Legends. I don't think anything really competes with his power. If there is, I think it would either be the monsters that are still buffed or the monsters that are uh, have their buffs around. I know Arcade himself still has his buff around. He still has buff stats, I believe. I don't think they ever went down. Um, but yeah, this is Rador. Rador is pretty sweet monster. All right. So first off, again, highest base power in the game. So you know right away he's an attacker. You know right away he probably hits really hard. He does hit. He in fact does hit really hard. So his life is 29,255. Uh, this is a really nice life. Honestly, this is a great life. It makes up for his meh speed. His speed is pretty meh for an attacker. It's alright, but it's not gonna outrun anything unless you have a really high level rune on it. And you're betting on the idea the enemy doesn't have a high rune speed either. Uh, just in general. So yeah, his weakness is fire since he is a fire legendary, and he may just very well be one of the better fire legendaries in the game in terms of what they stand for, like big burst damage. He is the bursty of. I think in terms of burst, he is the very burstiest of them all. Uh, I mean, like just with his kit and stuff like that. So yeah, he is immune to burning, just straight up the bat. He's immune to burning. Not, I mean, like this isn't a surprising trait to have. Basically, most of the fire monsters in the community have this trait. It's not. It's an okay trait. It's just everybody has it. Uh, so keeping that in mind, I'm gonna bring this up later. But keep in mind, most fire monsters have this ability. But also keep in mind, most people use General Darmith, who is just kind of slightly immune to everything. And that in some cases can actually work in your favor, and I'll get to that. So yeah, Hellbound deals very heavy fire damage to all enemies, may burn all targets, lose all negative effects. This is a meh alt. It's not too good, not too great. It's just meh. It's very meh. It's not too good of an alt, but his basic skills make up for that. He's got fantastic basic skills. Uh, I like him a lot more than he like the difference between him and Dharma's pet is like Rador does like self buff. I like him more than General Dharma's pet. As you know, I don't like General Dharma's pet because he kind of does like he's like the just a simple fire attacker. I didn't like his ult too much. His ult was ferociously meh. I mean, like it blows himself up too, and that's never a good thing. It's not an AOE explosion. It's literally just himself and one other monster. It's not a good idea. But yeah, this guy has a lot of cool self buffs. So yeah, we'll get to his second skill set. Wicked Soul deals heavy special damage. This requires no cooldown. It's 55 damage, and it's 28 stamina. This is a really awesome move. It's spammable. It does a really high amount of damage. I use Osteel class all the time. 50 power is pretty decent. Even without the buff, it does quite a bit of damage. And since think about it, he has a phenomenally great base. Again, he has great base power, so I think this guy runs on, like, if he runs on really high damage runes, he might not even need a damage buff. I guess that goes with really any monster, but this for sure, if you got high level runes, we're talking level 9 runes, just two level 9 runes, you will for sure knock out anything. I think at that point you will. I think unless they're stacked up on life runes, you will Oko somebody. If you're stacked up on damage, really, this will easily one shot. It just does so much base damage. I highly recommend you run the skill. It's anti-Timeron. It's a really nice move. Run this move, totally. Smoldering Bodies. This deals moderate fire damage. May burn target. Requires cooldown. This is a crummy move. Don't use it. I don't even know why it costs 31 stamina. It's not that great. Mad Ride. Deals moderate fire damage to all enemies. Requires cooldown. This is his burst AoE. Run this AoE. It's a really good AoE. The only problem being is fire based, and it's not very good in situations where you're fighting the fire monster. But odds are you will kill everything else with the AoE. You just have to deal with the fire monster separately. Odds are what you want to do probably first is you want to burst down the fire monster first. Then you want to go straight to like decimating everything else. You can usually use a denier for this, but yeah, it is pretty easy, you know. I mean, in terms of burst, this is a very bursty move, and it really goes well with his high base power. Flame Slam. This deals very heavy special damage, requires cooldown. This is a 1 turn 65 damage cooldown. It's really just a 1 turn cooldown and 10 more damage. I actually recommend you run this skill. Simply because of its burst. It's just too like the burst is just too important not to have. And there is honestly, like in the last there is one debate with this monster. In all actuality, I'll get to that in a sec. Turn them to ashes. This deals heavy fire damage, gains damage boost, requires cooldown. Or it's not even damage boost, it's double damage. I apologize, it's double damage. I really like this move. This is what really stands out. In all honesty, my two evils when I was deciding which to choose between Melting Grode and Turn Them to Ashes, I'll get to that in a minute. But this is a really nice buff. If you don't have really high level runes, I might actually recommend you run this move. Because double damage is too great of a buff not to have, and it can really help you burst down the other monsters, especially if you have Flame Slam on. You'll for sure just smush something. Something's gonna die next turn, just regardless. If you run Demise, I don't know if this can Oko. It might Oko something. If you can Oko the Deny monster with this move, I'd recommend using this move immediately after you get Strength from Beyond. So that way you get double damage on your actual turn, which is really nice. And now we have Melting Grode. Deals low fire damage to all enemies, may burn all targets, gains precision, requires cooldown. This move was pretty iffy for me, for a great number of reasons. It was mostly because these were the two evils I was deciding. For some people, it might just actually be Turn Them to Ashes or Wicked Soul. I have no idea why you wouldn't ever run a 0 turn cooldown move. Just for any attacker in any situation, that's never a good idea that you're not doing any damage. If your attacker literally has to sit down for a turn to not do anything, that's never a good idea. You're walking around with your damage output should be doing damage, not just recharging. It's never a good idea. You always want. I don't care what situation is. You always want to run a 0 turn cooldown move because things like Timerons out there and stuff like that. Granted, I know winning a Timeron match is very small, but you still want to do damage. You still want to be doing something. It might be small, but you can actually maybe get a good chance in the fight if you can actually still move. 0 turn cooldown is great. And in all honesty, I was kind of iffy on this move because, like I mentioned before, everything's immune. Mostly a lot of fire monsters are immune to burning. I don't know how good this would come up in situations because I fight a lot of Tefras. I fight a lot of I don't know. I would suppose. What do I fight? Yeah, I actually gotta look at it. It is mostly Darmith. In all honesty, it is mostly Darmith. That you see a lot of it. I know. General Darmith is a thing. I see Lord Moltus, who's also immune to burning. I sometimes see Alvid. Greedy Dragon. All these monsters are immune to burning. If it's not Darmith, it's a monster that's immune to burning. So in some situations, I don't really see that being all that great of a move. I have it at the moment because I'm unsure at the moment. I might actually just switch out the 30 damage, this AoE for like turn them to ashes. I know damage over time works well with everything else, but if you take into account that everybody usually has, I mean this move will only ever come in handy when you're fighting Dartmouth. I guess since everybody uses Dartmouth to begin with, this is great for like against common people that just use Dartmouth. Uh, just to, do damage over time to Dartmouth. But in all honesty, though, wouldn't you just rather like get the double damage boost on the first turn, and then you can just flame slam on the next turn and just kill the thing that you're having a problem with? Wouldn't that be easier? Uh, I would at least think it would be easier in terms of just getting rid of something. Uh, because you don't really need the precision. I mean, like things already give you precision. Like in most team cons, things already give you precision. Like like a support monster. I'm talking about like things like Valgar the Pure, or like I guess this would work in situations where you don't have that. But when you do have that, the move kind of becomes meh because you just want to end the fight. This guy has a high base power, so why would you really want this? Move. Why would you want this? Really. I mean, I see the importance of this move, but taking into account this guy just has a really high base power, why don't you just kill things? Really. I know you don't. I know you don't really need the double damage if you have high level runes, but in I mean, like let's just think about this like with low level stuff. Wouldn't you want to have the double damage? Wouldn't double damage be better? Obviously, accuracy is important, like to land your AOE's, but they're running at the same AOE accuracy. So if you actually wind up hitting everybody with Melting Road to begin with, yeah, even if you miss something, okay, take into account. Okay, so you get the double damage buff. Take into account you actually do hit. You hit everything but one thing. You can literally get rid of it on the next turn, though. Because this guy does a lot of base damage. If this guy does move before the enemy, I mean, with buff stats, it is over. It is over at that point. It just I mean, the AoE damage is so high. His base power is really high. You got to take that into account. In all honesty, but that damage is really good too. I'm not saying it's not a bad move. I'm just saying I mean, like double damage is so valuable to have. Just so you can burst down the really tanky monsters. I want to see why you wouldn't really run this move. I think it's a really nice move. I mean, you could, yeah. I did pick Melting Road first, just to see if it's a better choice. I think it's great when he gets blind, but then at that same time too, you're not gonna hit anything if you're blind. This might be good in situations where you're dazed. I can see that being very useful as when you're dazed, so you can just increase your accuracy a bit. But again, like with team comps too, like the supportive monster already gives precision. Why do you need more precision if you already have precision on? Why do you need damage over time when you can just burst them down after being buffed? I don't really see that too much. I know it is a good idea it's great for landing AoEs, but again, odds are you'll hit the things that you need to hit, and the game's done at that point, I think. But this move is great for situations when you're not fighting something immune to burning. If they're all not immune to burning, then this move is fantastic. So at this point, it's between, do you want a double damage buff, or do you want to do burning to all enemies, and then get a stat you may already have, because your support obviously may have given you that buff, really. It just kind of, again, plays out in different situations. I like, in all honesty, I was torn between these two moves. I picked this move, situationally. So this is the set you want to run. You want to run Wicked Soul. You want to run Flame Slam. You want to run Mad Ride, and then you can actually choose between these two moves. Personally, this is the evil I went through. Just one of these two moves. I don't like running like one special move and 3 fire moves. It's just never a good idea, especially if that one special move is a move on cooldown. It's really not a good idea. You can't instantly kill someone with with no boost, unless you have really, again, high level runes and they're not earning any life runes. That's the only time you're not instantly killing something. Is if you don't have high enough power runes and you don't. I mean, if they're not earning a life rune. Keep in mind if they are earning a life rune and they do survive your stuff, then yeah, it's just never a good thing. I would like that insurance again with like two special moves, so you can always keep moving. And it's just always a good idea. Because this guy actually, like, if it's not a special, if you notice that if these aren't a special move, then if you realize he actually runs on really high cooldowns. So all these moves are 3-turn cooldowns. And his, like, this AoE is 39 stamina. Compared to this 37 one, that's a lot of. This guy uses a lot of stamina when he does his AOE's. You gotta put that into account. He uses a lot. Again, that's not too much of a problem if you use a buffer. But again, in team war, you can, it's kind of a risky play. I don't know. So yeah, again, you just have to run all three of these moves and just one of these two moves. I like the fact that you can switch skills now, because I might switch to turn them into Ash if I don't like it too much when I use it in Team Wars. If I do prefer damage, double damage more than the damage over time. And that's all I really have. Oh, I forgot about runes. So for runes, again, 2 strengths and a speed. You can actually run a life rune too. You can do the extra guy build because, you know, this guy has a really high base power. If you honestly just use 1 level 9 rune, you could probably get away with like an extra guy build. You can make him sturdier. You can make him a little more faster. You could probably do 2 speed. Shit, if you wanted to do 2, if you wanted to take advantage of the burning, you can do 2 speeds and a strength rune. It's clearly up to you at that point. It's whatever you want to do, really. And that's all I really had to say about. Yeah, I again with the partners, buffers and a denier, just straight up usual stuff. This guy doesn't need much to get going. He's a pretty tanky monster. I mean, like, he's a very hard hitting monster, and he actually can take a beating before he goes down, which is really nice. So yeah, that's all I have to really say. Really great, probably one of the better fire monsters in the game. I'm not saying he's the best. I think Shalinar is may just well be the best in terms of, like, you know, like double damage, extra turn, and like weakness to fire and all that jazz. I think she may very well be the best monster, and she's immune to stun too. She doesn't have like immune to fire, or I mean like burning, and that's really great. You know, it's just not. She's not the common like fire attacker. She's got like some interesting buffs and stuff like that, buffs and debuffs. But yeah, a really good fire monster nonetheless. Totally get this guy when he comes out for sale. He's a really great fire monster. I'm DibtheAwesome. I'll catch you guys later.